An 11-year-old girl and her girlfriend went to the Jewish Community Center in the Northwest to play tennis. And they were both raped and murdered. And I was called that night by somebody who said, the parents are people who have read your books and listened to your tapes, and perhaps there's something you could say to them at this moment. And I realized I couldn't do it tomorrow. It had to be done right now. And so I sat down, and the enormity of that pain was so great that it catapulted me out of the ego part of me that felt insecure in writing. And so I wrote this letter, which I'd like to share with you. And this letter, well, you'll hear it. Dear Steve and Anita, Rachel, the daughter, Rachel finished her work on earth and left the stage in a manner that leaves those of us left behind with a cry of agony in our hearts as the fragile thread of our faith is dealt with so violently. Is anyone strong enough to stay conscious through such teachings as you are receiving? Very few. And even they would have only the briefest whisper of equanimity and peace amidst the screaming trumpets of their rage, grief, horror, and desolation. I can't assuage your pain with any words, nor should I. For your pain is part of Rachel's legacy to you. Not that she or I would inflict such pain by choice, but there it is. And it must burn its purifying way to completion. For something in you dies when you bear the unbearable. And it is only in that dark night of the soul that you are prepared to see as God sees and to love as God loves. Now is the time to let your grief find expression. No false strength. Now is the time to sit quietly and speak to Rachel and thank her for being with you these few years and encourage her to go on with her work, knowing that you will grow in compassion and wisdom from this experience. In my heart, I know that you and she will meet again and again and recognize the many ways in which you have known each other. And when you meet, you will, in a flash, know what now it is not given to you to know, why this had to be the way it was. Our rational minds can never understand what has happened. But our hearts, if we can keep them open to God, will find their own intuitive way. Rachel came through you to do her work on earth, which included her manner of death. Now her soul is free, and the love that you can share with her is invulnerable to the winds of changing time. In love, Ram Dass. Let me just share with you one more story. When I came back from India in 1968, I was living in New Hampshire on my father's farm. And a young fellow came to see me. He was about 18 or 19. He was living in the Lower East Side of New York. He was from Russian parents. And he was from quite wealthy parents, actually. But he was living as a kind of a hippie in New York with his girlfriend. And he came to see me and he said, I'd like to study yoga with you, hatha yoga and so on. I was teaching all those things at the time. And we sat together, and he was a very unusual fellow. And at one point, we were looking in one another's eyes, sitting together, and this blue light flashed between our third eyes. And it was so powerful, we both fell over backwards at the same moment. And I had no idea what that was. So he began to study yoga, and he would come to see me. His parents had a place nearby in an island, and he would go there, and he came to see me. And he started to improve. He was doing hatha yoga. Pretty soon he was doing it. By the end of the summer, I said, look, you now need a real teacher. I mean, I'm great, but I'm kind of a schlock, teacher, and you need a real one. And so I'd suggest you see so-and-so or so-and-so. He said, well, I think I have enough of the basics. I'm going to go into a cave on my parents' place down in Arizona, and I'm just going to do yoga all winter. If I can just fly to wherever you are once a month and see you. Fine. So every month he would fly to see me, and he was starting to look like a yogi. He was fasting, and he was getting that kind of look about him, and then he didn't come in February, and he didn't come in March, and in April, and I didn't think much about it, in April I got a letter from his mother saying, my son has entered Mahasamadhi, which in India means it's when you die and you enter the enlightened state. That's very strange for a Russian woman to say to me, and I realized she was saying her son had died. She said, I'm coming to see you because I have to show you his diary. So she came to see me, and she was somewhat of a hysterical woman, and she showed me this diary, and it said, scribbled in big scrawl on the pages was, Mother, I have finished my work. I am with Christ, and I am with Maharaji, which is my guru, who he met through me. Tell Ram Dass it's all right. I will be watching over you. You need have no fear. Vaya con Dios, go with God. Love. Signed it. She says, see, he finished his work. Now, to be honest with you, what happened to me when I looked at that book was I saw this big scrawling writing. And I thought, where have I seen that before? And then I remembered that in all the times I've taken LSD, there are moments when you are way, way, way out there, and you suddenly see the grand design of the entire universe. And you want to remember it, so I would stagger across the room to get a pen and something to write on. And I'd write this laboriously, this wise thing, which for the next day would turn out to be like the word is. Which undoubtedly was the secret of the universe, except I no longer understood it. So it looked to me like it was acid writing. And I thought, uh-oh, he took acid, and he probably, because they found him in his cave with blood on the walls from his nose, he probably took acid and did pranayama or something and burst his heart and died.